Whatever we debate tomorrow at this time on the longest bull market in American history, who takes him out? Is it this president? Is it the president before him? Is it Barack Obama? Is it Donald Trump? To Real Clear Politics co-founder Tom Bevan, USA Today Congressional reporter Eliza Collins. My easy answer on this, Eliza's been both can take a bow. It obviously started in March 2009 when we had just breached the low on the S&P 500, ironically enough, of 666. I'll leave that to other folks to discern. But that we started coming back since then. And to give credit where it's due to President Trump, you know, he kept it going. Tax cuts, low regulations, you name it. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely right that they both can take a bow. I think the more vocal bow will probably come from President Trump. I think we can probably expect some tweets. And exactly his agenda, the deregulations, the tax cuts, that was the biggest piece of legislation Republicans in Congress were able to get over the finish line. You can't deny that that is probably having an effect on the economy and the stock prices. And so I think that we'll definitely see Trump taking a lot of credit, though there's probably some credit for Obama as well.
You know, there's a third guy we leave out, Tom Bevan, and that is Ben Bernanke. People don't realize, especially younger people I talk to, which is pretty much everyone I talk to here at Fox, because sadly everyone is much younger than I am. But anyway, Tom, the one thing, if you think about it, he forced interest rates down to essentially zero, kept them that way for years. And that did a lot right there. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, look, there are a lot of parts to this, and certainly Obama is going to take credit, and Obama's former administration officials are going to take credit. I agree. I think Bernanke takes credit. But I do think, Donald Trump, this is his economy now, and it became his economy once they passed the tax cuts. You've seen that in the data, in the numbers, that people now, if the bull market stops, Donald Trump's going to take the blame for it. And so it's his economy. And you're right. There was also this idea of secular stagnation, right, that this was the new normal, that we had 1% growth. Trump has sort of busted that myth, I think, because, and there's more optimism in the country now because of the accelerated growth in the last 18 months.
You know, Eliza, you could argue now that there's a new math to the multiples we assign markets, and whether they're overvalued or not, maybe because of the tax cuts, maybe because of the improved earnings, maybe because of both. You could argue, and I've talked to some bulls on this show, say, this has a longer run to go. And even the record that it would break from the 1990s, that market appreciated more than 400%. This one's a little more than 300%. So their argument is, hey, we have a ways to go. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that is certainly what Donald Trump and the Republicans are hoping, especially going into the November midterm, where they have an uphill battle. Having a strong economy really helps. And like you said, it's Trump's economy now. So people right now are thanking the president, thanking Republicans. If it dips, they're going to blame them. So they want that to keep going. They're certainly hoping that the bullish estimates are correct.
Yeah, we always blame presidents when things go bad. We might as well give them a bow when things are going well, so they could turn south on you fast. Tom, do you get any sense that this is going to help Republicans in the midterms, though? Because, I still hear talk of this blue wave. So if it's a palpable rally, which it is, based on strong fundamentals, which it is, you would think they would be seeing better poll numbers. But again, it could be like 2016, and those numbers are missing it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the $64,000 question. Obviously, having a strong economy and having the tax cut, which is the only thing Republicans really have to say, look, this is what we got done while we controlled all branches of Congress, is better than not having it. But at the same time, is it enough?
That's a very good point.
Is it enough to lift Republicans or defend them against the Democrats' enthusiasm, which is clearly there, and the blue tide or blue wave or whatever it's going to be? We don't know the answer to that, and it cuts both ways, right? For Republicans, better economy means that people are more secure in their finances. They start thinking about other issues like education, healthcare, et cetera. On the other hand, though, Democrats, they can't ignore the economy. They can't just say, well, the economy's terrible, because that defies logic and reality. So they have to deal with that as well and say, well, the economy's, it's good, but it could be better, or look at income inequality. Those are the kind of things. So it's a tricky wicket for both sides, and it's really unclear how it's going to play out.
Eliza, it is weird, too, in that the economy itself is one of these things that might take all these other issues off the table. But if you're feeling good about things, you're less inclined to go out to the polls, right? I mean, Barack Obama discovered that the hard way. Even in the 2014 midterms, he wasn't on the ballot. The economy was humming along. There were serious concerns, obviously, about the health care law. But he didn't benefit. They still lost seats. So in a midterm, this stuff might not matter as much.
Well, Republicans have to rally their base, and they have to rally beyond their base. Those independents, those soft Republicans that might not normally show up for a midterm and say, hey, if you like the economy, come out for this. You might not like the president that much. You might be uncomfortable with some of the things coming out of this White House, but do you like the economy? Show up. And so we have to see how they campaign. Is that what they're campaigning on? Or are they campaigning on, Nancy Pelosi and the far left for Democrats, and which strategy works? We're kind of watching how this takes place across the country.
We are indeed, and we get very different views. Guys, thank you both very, very much. I always appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks, Neil.